Hello, hi everyone. So yeah, let's have that. So how about did you guys get chance to look into the Bigo again and also the problem what we have like shared in as a homework. In homework, definitely it was like having a lot of other concepts also, but at least did you read that problem? So let me share my screen and then we will go to the next concept. And this is something again the topic which is what is that? Algorithm thinking. Next topic was data structure for coding interview. So we are just going to start our second topic, which is in day two. We have data structures for coding interviews, and it's not like we will go all the things we will cover today, especially random access memory and also binary numbers. So I think these three binary numbers. So this is how we are taking the topics, which is kind of related progression, basically random access. If you know the random access memory, then only you can think about the memory. So that's why we will first understand the random access memory. Before going to that, I think let's quickly see the Bigo thing. I think we already we have already covered last time, but I'm quickly going back. So this kind of things, which is having just print one statement, it is kind of a constant, which we already said that, okay, these kind of one printing, it's a constant Bigo. And let's take some example of this, like having a loop, just one loop and one printing. It's means it's a one loop with the number of items is there as an input. So it is Bigo of n, because n time it need to loop, it need to print. So it's kind of a Bigo of n. And if there are two for loop, but it's not like in one for loop is inside other loop, then it is independent, and we will take the maximum of that. So that will be a on here, because both of it be having on. I'm just taking some quickly example. Yeah, if you are calculating Bigo and having multiple functions, and you are finding that, okay, in one function it is nq, one function it is n square, and this is 1000. You just need to take the maximum out of it, and you need to eliminate all those constant. So this constant means nothing. Basically, you can, because why constant means nothing in Bigo? Because constant is like, in if you n is going arbitrarily large, then constant is really not making any sense. That's why we can kind of remove all the constant, and only Bigo will represent in terms of the input of your variable, whatever the input is. Basically, the it will represent n, and n is something which is like, if n will increase, then Bigo will increase. So it's kind of for relative terms. Yeah, and we also said that we always, in the interviews, we always need to mention that worst case scenarios, best case scenario, these things go with the Bigo. So we should always remember that if you are saying any Bigo, then yeah, you can also mention about the worst case, and in best case, maybe you, in these kind of examples, you may be able to find needle at the first time only. Then it will be a best case, and best case scenario Bigo will become like O1. But in the worst case scenario, Bigo will be ON. So it's good to know that what is worst case, what is best case, okay, and the average case. So similarly, yeah. So depending on it's really not depending on what is the input. It's depending on what is like passing, like how many times it is printing, how many times it is looping. That is something is depending on. So if we go, if even though if in that's why in the binary problems, mostly input may be n, but the way we do write algorithm, Bigo will become not a n, it will reduce to log n or something, depending on how many times we are writing, like it's going to the inside the loop. So that completely depending on that. It's not depending on what is exactly the input is. And we also talk about, we should not always think in the terms that it is time complexity. We should always think about space complexity. So it's kind of a optimum thing we should take. Sometimes it's kind of a trade-off that we are considering time complexity, and we completely forget about space, which is not the thing. And space, you also remember that it is something with the extra space you are taking. It's not something which is already input is not the space. It will not count as a space. What extra space you are taking. So that is something, is, yeah, that is something we talk about. And we said that, like these kind of examples, right, where item and all those things you are taking, it is something you are passing every time. So it's not like you are really creating every time new item. You are just passing the value here. So it is just one variable space you are taking. But if you are just think, if you are taking an array of, you are like having initializing a new array, and you are really taking a lot of. So how, what, why this is space complexity, this is something you will learn today. About the array and how many bits we are taking in the memory, those things we will learn today. So space complexity, and I think that's it. Yeah. And then we also worked on this problem. We talk about that it's always good, because right now it's we really not focusing on Python writing it, and the syntax and all. We're really not focusing right now. We are completely focusing on the pseudocode and the way we are thinking. So we need to improve our thinking of algorithm, and also need to think in terms of Vigo. Syntax is just a language we can quickly catch up. Okay, so and a Vigo notation and improve, and definitely, and that's why we are focusing on writing on not ID. We are writing. We will write our code. We will start with the notebook. I mean, notebook is not the Python notebook, Jupyter notebook I'm talking about. It's a regular your physical notebook, and also or in Google. So just to starting with. And yeah, definitely we need to write a pseudo code and actual code, brute force code. This is how we need to think when we are, and make sure we ask questions. So this is also we will cover today. We will take one system design question today, and we will also learn about the space complexity, what we talked. So space complexity, how really going how we are taking space in the system, right, inside. So this is something we will talk, and we will take one system design question where we will learn how to ask more questions. And especially in system design, definitely we should ask questions, because otherwise we will really design wrong thing with. Yeah, today, so we are I have one system design question, which is design a URL. I think it's a very common question you may have heard before. Design a URL shortener. So this is something which we will take. And the first thing what I want to go with the this data structure for interview question, where we will take random access memory. So random access memory is just a heading, but it will have more detail what is RAM and disk kind of. So I think anyone can give some definition on RAM, like just layman language. It is something which is so that's what we say memory, right? Memory and disk, right? How much memory it is taking. So yes, so it is taking when you are running any program. It's like if you are storing array and all. So will it going to the disk, or is it going to the RAM? So when you are storing some data, right? Random access. So basically, you are storing some data variable, runtime variables and all. So where it is going actually?
Runtime variables will be in RAM. If we are like initializing,
Right.
then you will have in the disk.
Right. So runtime, whatever variables we are adding, everything is going into RAM. And if you are adding anything in the file, right? So that will go into this, right? So this is something. That's why for the runtime we need to use debugger for seeing the runtime variables and all. Otherwise, we cannot after the program we cannot see it, right? So that's why this thing is also, that's what we were talking about, the space complexity. So this is something in terms of space complexity. We need to know how we are really storing data. So let's see, random access memory. Actually, we already said that when a computer is running code, it needs to keep track of variables, numbers, strings, arrays, and etc. Whatever new thing you are adding, it's going into the random access. So variables stored in random access memory we sometimes call RAM, working memory, or just a memory. That's what we say. I think in day-to-day life we just say memory, and for the storage we say disk storage. Yeah, storage. I can give you an example in my from my office example. There is a in code I work in code coverage team, and where in code coverage team we have a routers and devices. So where and in code coverage there we wrote a tool which will trigger what it will do. Basically, it will trigger developers do the testing. They run the code coverage tool, and we internally we run some command, gcov dump or some command. And what it will do, it will just store all the hit counts into the RAM, in the memory of the router. So sometimes people face issue, because sometimes in their testing, it is some shutdown is available, like the router can be shut down. So in those scenarios, all the data which is hitted, like all those information which is hitted, and what we stored in the memory of the router will go away. So that in this, because of that memory, whatever data we store there, we do collection. First we store in the RAM thing, and second thing what we do, we take from RAM and store in the file. So this is the process how we do code coverage, and then that file, we will take that file and we'll do the. So memory is very whatever going into the memory, and if your device is shut down or whatever happened, then all the things will. So it's something kind of a real scenarios. Yeah, so that's why it's important to dump the data whatever there in the RAM, so and store it in some place if you want to use it for the later. Yeah, so let's see, this is how we are seeing, right? Kind of a it's kind of a bookcase where we have a lot of shelves, and in these shelves we are storing all those variables or whatever we want. So this is how we are going to use these are the kind of addresses of the. So addresses, we are right now we are just presenting it like 012, so just to understand, this is how we have the numbers. So every shelf, so where we are storing anything, so it's going in as a shelf, just we can just picturize like that. So these are the addresses, and these are the place where we are going to store our value. So, and how we are storing our values, it's we are storing in the systems, right? So we store everything in 0 and 1. So 0 1 is how we store, and we say 0 1 as a bit. So if 1 and 0, because in this computer language or what, only 0 and 1 is the way. So we say it bits, and it's having 8 bits. Basically we are storing it as 8 bits. So this address is having 8 bits, and it's having some number 11000100, and this thing something which we need to calculate. Okay, what is exactly this is something in a binary representation. So everything, whatever the way it is taking, it is adding as a binary representation. Whatever you are giving, it will go as a binary representation inside the RAM. So let's move on, and let's see how processor. So how it will work, because how we will. So because our program is running somewhere here, and we need to check all those details, right? Whenever we need to pull some data from the RAM, right, we need some processor. So we have some processor here, and then we have a memory controller. So what it will do, memory controller is something which has all the information. Okay, what exactly value is stored in this variable, so address and the value. So this is how processor talk to memory controller, and memory controller will return based on the ask, whatever processor asks. Let's say processor asks for a particular variable, then it's memory controller responsibility to give it that particular value of that particular variable, and also with like in a faster way, basically, because that's the advantage of RAM, and that's the disadvantage of disk. But in disk, like taking a lot of time to get the anything, but RAM is very fast. So that's why we have this RAM memory. But in RAM, it's very only thing is we have less spaces in RAM. So that's why we need to use it wisely. In disk, you can store a lot, but in RAM, you can store, you have a minimum in the RAM. As it is a faster, so how it is faster, and that's something which we will, which is role of memory controller. So basically, how it is doing, it's kind of if you are having an address, it is just giving that value. It's not like, if you are asking for, let's say you are asking for 0 position element, then you are giving, it will give it 0 position element. Let's say it will take like 10 millisecond, or some very, very less millisecond, 10 milliseconds. So if you are asking for 10th element afterwards, so still it will take 10 milliseconds. It's not like it need to go down and get it, and it will take a lot of time. So it's not like that. So it's kind of array representation. So whatever you are giving, let's say you are giving 0th position element you want, then it will take the same time, and it will also take the same time for the hundreds element, hundreds address. So kind of it will take the same time. That direct connection is important. It makes it means we can access address 0 and then immediately access address 918873 without having to climb down for a massive bookshelf of RAM. That's why we call it random access memory. We can access the bits at any random access memory right away. Yeah, that's something like, even though the memory controller can jump between so far memory address quickly, programs tend to access memory that's nearby. So computers are tuned to get an extra speed boost when reading memory address. They are close to each other. So this is something one new concept is cache. So not a new concept, basically this is whatever we talk. So we have not talked about the caching thing. So what exactly caching doing, which is kind of an extra space in the processor. So what it will do, whenever you are asking, like you are asking for 0th element So what it will do, it will also put some element nearby, closer by element in the cache. So like next time processor will take it from here. So every time it will not. So near, so so speed will be less, right? Because processor it will itself will be having inside his cache.
But this cache is also having some kind of like a memory, or how is it?
It's kind of a memory only, which is processor is having that memory. Even though the memory controller can jump between far apart memory addresses quickly, programs tend to access memory that's nearby. So computers are tuned to get an extra speed boost when reading memory addresses that are not close to each other. Here's how it works. So yeah, basically that's something, yeah, close to processor. Or Shrinu, is it inside this processor? So yeah, so only thing is what I'm seeing here is like whatever is close. If you are like every time, let's say if your program is retrieving this particular element, then it will take all the close nearby element, right, 4 5 elements, and then it will put it here, something like that. That's what will be, what is the purpose of cache. And in the, like, another example of it in the kitchen, there is somewhere I read that in the kitchen, if you some of the things will be there on your refrigerator or somewhere, like if you like which is not you are commonly using it, it will be in the disk kind of way. It's very inside. And later in some of the stuff will be outer, easily reachable, and some of this stuff will be on your area where you are working on for making some item. So this is something, a cache which is very close by, and after that you are opening it, like you have to open the shelves to get it. Or third thing is like just going to the garage for anything you put it, like long you have inventory or something. These kind of three things we have. But if you really putting everything on cache, then it again it will be a very hard to get retrieve it. So that's why it's having a small area where you just have the important stuff, and it will also do the cleaning also, and but as a high level we can understand it. So yeah, that's something I have wrote we already read discussed. So if the processor asks for the contents of address 951, then 952, and then 953, then 954, it will go out to RAM once for the first read, and the subsequent reads will come straight from the super fast cache. If the processor asks to read address 951, then address 362, then address 1419, then the cache won't help, and it will go all the way to the RAM to read it. Okay, so I think this is something is important. Just keep this thing in your mind. This is how we are storing, we are going to store our bits, and this is how when you are assigning any array, your variables, whatever, it's going in the inside it, like that. So this is something keep in your mind. And then let's understand the binary and decimals number. Let's understand in this way. Let's revise. It's kind of a revisit that and see. So base 10, right, it's kind of a hundreds, tens, and ones. So if you are representing any number kind of this 101, then it will be like first place, and it's like 10 and it's 100, right? So this is base 10. And if you see that like counting it, right, so when you are adding it, like it will become like 100. So 100 is means it is like, okay, let's start from here. So if it is here, then it means it's representing like 10 to the power of 0, because it's a 10 to the power 0, and then 1, and then 2. So 0 1 2. So 10 to the power 0 is 1, so it is 1. 10 to the power of 1, so because it's a second place, so it is 10. Whatever it's representing, so basically this is 0th place, first place, and second place. So this is how we are representing, like 10 to the power 0, it will be 1, 10 to the power 1 is 10, and 10 to the power 2. So whatever number is at second 0, 1, 2, in this place, so it will become like, it will be 100. Whatever number is in this name first place, like we are starting from 0, so first place is 0. So 0 multiplication by 10 to the by 10 will become 0. So basically everything, whatever we are representing it, we need to know that it is like in the power of 10, 10 to the power 0, 10 to the power 1, 10 to the power 2. This is how we are representing, and this is how we are adding numbers. Same thing will go for the base 10. Let's think about base 10 here only in this slide. So let's say here it's 101, same number. So what will be the value here for base 2? 5, right?
So basically
2 to the power 0 is 1. So let's put 1 here. And now 2 to the power 1
is 2.
2, right?
2.
But you need to
And 2
multiply
times
by
0 is 2,
because
0 is 0.
okay, 2 to the power 2, because it's
2
third
is
place.
4. Yeah.
4, right? So 4 and multiply by 1, because 1 time 4, so it's 4. So 4 plus 0 plus 1. So when it will be useful, we will talk on that. Like, let's say you have number 5 and you want to represent in, you need to write it, you need to store it in binary form. I don't want to say right now, but because we are going to do that problem. And we need to think when we should use the binary representation instead of storing things in base 10. So we will do some problems on that. But yeah, this thing is clear, right? So I think I already added and we cleared it, right? The same thing, base 2, and we have this. So counting to 10 in binary, counting to 10 in binary, yeah, same thing, like 0. So 0 0 0, it's all 0 because it's this is how we are adding. And let's say 1. So what will be the one? You can use you can do it also. So I'm moving to the next slide, but yeah, these slides will be with you. So, and another thing is negative number, how we are going to store the negative number. So negative number is also like one negative numbers and 2's complement. That's also another name, that instead of binary number, we are saying 2's complement, 2's complement. So at the end of the last number, it is having -1 into 4s. 2 without 2's a complement, it was a like base 2 number, which is having 4s, 2s and 1s, but now it's -1 multiplied by 4s. So whatever you are putting it here for binary representation, you need to put minus here and then you need to add. So it will be -3. So value in base 10 will be -3 for this 2's complement of 101. Okay, I think the same thing I put it here, minus from -5 to 5. So we are representing here 1011 and then adding when you are interpreting the same number in binary in 2's complement. So you need to add minus at the first for the initial number and then you need to add it. So it will become -5 here as a decimal number. So basically representation will be same, like whatever the number was there for 5, it is same, but that it's having the calculation. Like take some time and do the write down also and can practice. So if interview asks you convert base 2 into decimal, ask is that in 2's complement or not. So that this is something we can ask, that if you are converting from base 2 to decimal, then definitely there is another thing, is it 2's complement or the regular binary. So I think we are done with this one, but definitely it's important to go back and try some binary and decimal conversion because we are going to use it in some of the. Now move it to the next one, which is a system design question. So system design, basically, let's say if someone asks you design like in the system design, because initially in the interview, first thing will be a regular telephone interview where you will have to write some coding. So what we will do, we will always work parallelly. We will do some coding as well as some system design question. So let's take the, and second thing, basically after coding interview on the phone, the people will call and they basically, you may go there, there's an on-site, but on-site is not possible here. So I think everything will move to the telephonic, but definitely they will be having a coding session and after then there will be a system design question. So system design question, this was the question I got, people asked me as well. Design a URL shortener. So what will be the, there are some steps which we need to keep in our mind for any system design question. So first thing is to scope the project. So what all you want to do with this system design, what exactly you need to do. Let's say if you are the one who are facing the interview and people said that design a URL shortener, what exactly will come in your mind? Because, okay, so now interviewer will say, we need to, this is something kind of a company which do the go. We are kind of writing a software which will do this is the basic work what we want to do. We want to provide this feature, functionality to the users, that you can come to our website and do that. Just like Google shortener and all. So that's a good question, right? So people should, because otherwise if you really don't know what exactly designer you are you going to use internally or are you going to use something people like real people going to use it, right? So this is very important question. So yeah, second question is also second, it's kind of not a question, but it is something, you are thinking loud and saying that this is what I understood. This is something, a basic questions are coming, right? To scope the project. So understand the project and then only you can scope. So basically readability, so give them, so it's kind of a feature thing. That's very good. That's what we need to, whenever we are scoping the project, it's something you need to feature what all features you want, right? So you are going ahead and thinking about the user's perspective, because it's something users are going to use. So what it should be readability, and people, we can give that feature. Should we give that feature? Basically, we can ask interviewer that you think that we want to give that feature that people can choose their own name for shortening the URL, or we are going to make it by default anything what we want, right? Making it the
Yeah.
shortener, because our purpose is shortener of the URL, but we have not mentioned that it should be having readability. But you thought about it, right? So this is very good question, very good. So this is how we need to design actually in a real world scenario also. If we are really going to make a design of a URL shortener, these are the questions. Instead of start okay, what all models we want, what all controllers, I mean, thinking ahead, okay, what technology we are going to use. So this is really bad, right? This will give you the sense that you really don't have the experience, that you think before doing anything. So basically, definitely we need to think about the scope, and we need to do the brainstorming. And with the interviewer, we need to work like it's someone as a colleague, that okay, let's do the brainstorm, that I'm thinking loud. This is another thing we need to say many times, that whatever you are thinking, say I'm just thinking loud. That will it be I think definitely the goal is to make the URL shortener, but shortening the URL. But I think for user perspective, we can also think about the readability. Do you think this feature is needed here? Something like that. Here we have to make this site actually tiny URL. This is something we need to make. Not a site, this is something API or whatever you say, but exactly what we want is this. We want to make it like this. So this is how we need to design. So in this, we got something happened. Okay, yeah, day 2 interview will come because it was a preview, right? So yeah, how you are going to store it, what all those things you need to do, we need to think it in the step 2. So step 1 is to scope the project. What are we building? This is what we asked. What are we building? What features might we have needed? And these two things you all covered. So features, is this the full web app with the web interface? This is very important question, right? We should ask like a tiny URL, just like a tiny URL, you want a full web app, or you can just a API also, right? It can be a API or simple, like if it will just link it. You don't need a full web app also. So since it is an API, do we need, so let's say interviewer said, no, it can be just an API. Start with API. That's what people will say. Because if you have an API, you guys know what is API. So that's something, the beginning point for even if you think about the web app. Instead of that, we can start with the API, and then you can think of the web app. So that's what interviewer may say, that okay, let's start with the API. So since it is an API, do we need the authentication or user accounts or developer keys? So that is another thing, because now we need to, this is another thing. I think it will be open to everybody. It's not open to, it's so only for internal purpose or something. So those kind of things can also come here. Authentication. So any method, like even, thank you. Even whatever method you are writing, so you can just see it method, whatever your method you are calling, and you are getting the answer. That's a API. And web interface, definitely it will be a REST API. Okay, can people modify or delete links? This is another important point. Like, okay, we are writing it, whatever shortener URL is came later, they can edit it or can delete the previous one. So do you think it's a problem if we will allow them to delete the links? If people cannot delete links, do they persist? So this is one thing, right? Do they persist? So you said that, okay, I think it should not be good. So persist, or do we have automatically removed the old ones? So now we could remove links that were created some length or time, like 6 months ago, and actually not used also. We could, these kind of things which we can decide. That's another thing, brainstorming ideas. Okay, we should provide the deleting option, but and if you're not providing deleting option, then definitely you need to store somewhere, right, in your database. So everything you need to store. It's so many people create it, and you are not deleting and expiring it, then it means you need to you need to store. This is something, a drawback. But now we are thinking, okay, what all options we have? We could remove links that were created some length of time ago, like 6 months. But in this case, let's say if people people created that link, let's say in Enthusiastic, right, what I run. So in Enthusiastic, if I created one link for summer camp, and summer elementary summer camp thing. And then what happened, I shared this and I made a flyer, and which I printed out and gave it to everybody. And then not gave it to everybody, I put it myself because I planned ahead for, because that is something what we are planning after 6 months. But if we have not used it, so maybe these kind of website, if they will delete it, right? So what is the point? So because that, otherwise all those flyers will be wasted. This is that kind of example of this kind of, if people have not used it, then should not be deleted. We could remove links that have not been visited in some length of time, like 6 months. So these are the options we are thinking. Exactly this is, what if someone printed bunch of pamphlets that had a URL on it and did not give any pamphlet a few months and started giving them out again? So that seems like a pretty reasonable. So this is something reasonable thing, okay, that might happen. Putting a URL in paper, great reason. So, and having the link suddenly stop working would be quite frustrating for the user. Worse, that if a book already had the short link printed in the millions, so let's let thing exist forever. So this is another thing, like because so should we let people see? Should we let people choose their short link or just always auto generated? And for example, say we want this, let's definitely support. So basically, right, this is kind of user friendly thing. So do we need analytics so people can see how many people are clicking on the link, etc.? This is like a very advanced thing, but still we can put like, okay, right, having this analytics, we can, this is something advanced feature, right? This thing is clear. Step one, scoping of the project. So we scoped, okay, this is what we decided as of now. So what we are agree with. So we want is a full web app. So I think we agree with the API, right? Because we can start with the API. And can we provide modified delete links? I think based on our discussion, I think having it forever. Can we go ahead with this?
Yeah.
Okay, having it forever. And also third thing is like, should we let people choose the short link? I think this is great, we should do that. So this is also we agree. This is something what we want right now, what we want, what really we want, what are we building, what features might we need. So this is something we are thinking, because of the, we are only thinking right now based on the customer perspective, based on the user's perspective, based on the thing what we want to do, but we are not really thinking about how we are going to do. So memory thing will come later. Definitely, then again we will be have to think, okay, how we are going to support it, and this will create the thing what really we want, all the features, and we will choose the features what really we want. Well, right now we are agreeing with that, okay, these all features we want, but we have not finalized, we have not said that, okay, all these features we are going to support, right? So that will come later. Then we will think, okay, what is the priorities of the feature, what all features we want, and what are the priority of the feature. And we may need to drop some of the features. So step one is clear, scope the project, and now design goals. Now it's kind of a time when we are really going to implement. So before going to implement, we need to think, if we are designing something, we should know what we are optimizing for. What are we optimizing for? So this is something. So what should be able to store a lot of, since we are not automatically expiring them, right? A lot of links we are not expiring, then how thing came up here, right? Our short link should be as short as possible. So these are the, okay, so basically actually here we are putting all the features here, what exactly we think we figured out after having questions. So first thing is we should be able to store a lot of links there, since we are not expiring. This is one thing. Our short link should be short as possible. The whole point of the shortener is like shortening the URL. So definitely, and it will give the advantage of the competition as well, that try to have a shortened URL. And following a short link should be fast. This is another important thing, right? It should not involve a lot of redirecting and a lot of calculations behind the scenes. So it will take a lot of time, right? So this is again thing, like when you are really going to design. So implementation, this will, now we are going towards the implementation, that retrieval should be fast, it should be fast. And we need to store a lot of links. So then we need to, here the need of database is coming somewhere, right? And here we are having that, okay, shortening the URL, basically we need a shortest length. So this is something we are going towards the implementation. Now we are thinking short link should be fast, okay? So retrieval also, so whatever database we are going to use, we need to think about the retrieval. And short link followers should be resilient to load X spikes. One of our links might be a top story of this is another thing, like going ahead, just like in small companies, like when we start, we will be very small people. We might not think about the lot of people will going to use, but let's say if that particular URL, what somebody made, right, it is like really hitting a lot, then it will be a problem for us if we have not think about that, right? Because we whatever platform we are providing to user, we really don't know who is going to create what URL, and if somebody celebrity doing it or someone is doing it which is really going to hit load spikes, then we need to think ahead of time. So this is very important to know, to do. But still, for starting with, we now we need to think on what exactly order of the priorities, right? We need to think what all, because these are the requirement, or we will say our area of interest of features, what all things we want, but we need to think about the order of our goals. So sometimes design goals are at odds with each other. To do the better job of one, we need to do a worse job for another. So it's a helpful to know which goals are more important than others. So that's something we need to know. Okay, so just like we did it for the big O complexity, right? Space and time. We need to. It might be both are good, but we need to think which one we need to choose, depending on the current scenarios. So that's something we need to decide order of goals here, and this is something of building them. Okay, I think here, what kind of order of the goals? What exactly you guys think? What will be the most important feature? Sorter and to store the lot of links.
Memory.
It can be. I think to store sort of links, maybe all other things can be top of that. But and the last one can, what can be the last one? I think storing a lot of things we should think. Actually, because of yeah, I mean, because based on that we need to decide the database and everyone. So a small point, but it's so impactful, right? So important to think of that unique URL. So this is something, that's why sometimes we have, it's something good to have features, but it's hard to do it because of the designing, and also because it will have trade-off, fast and slow, because this thing will clear. But now again we need to think about the optimum solution, how we are going to approach it. So let's pause here, and I think it's important to not go for the next one, step 3, which is kind of building the data model. I really don't want to go here. Let's what I will do, I will write it, the kind of a homework for that, so that you can start writing something on this. So before ending this, we will do one again, some problem. I think as many of you have not worked on the problem what I have shared last time, so let's see it again. So actually, how about writing all write down those binaries and decimal 1 to 10 without seeing anything, everybody, because we are going to use in system design question, actually the same question what we are working on.
You said something about this two's complement. What is it? Can you explain me a bit?
2's complement is something negative number. Let's say -1, -2, -3. What will be the
okay.
binary representation?
Okay, got it.
What will be the representation of for 1 in binary?
001.
0001, because we are putting 4 numbers. Let's take 4 numbers. So yes, 0001. Correct, right? Why 10001? Because at the end 1 will be there, because 2 to the power of 0 will become 1, right? Sorry, 2 to the power 0 will become 1. So that's why we having 1. And second thing is like 2. So in 2 we need 2 total, right? So first element will be 2 to the power 0, and then 2 to the power 1. So we need 2. So on the second place it will come as 1. I don't know if it's clear. Let me share my screen. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I understand that.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I'm just trying to think of the logic, how we'll convert.
So next. So we have 2 to the power of, okay, I'm saying, let's say, yeah, 2 to, I don't know how to write it here. 2 to the power of 3, and then 2 to the power of 2, and 2 to the power of 1, and 2 to the power of 0. So let's say these are the 4 things. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth place, right? 0, 0, 0, 0. So we are starting, if we are having number 0. So if we have number 0, then it will be, everything is kind of 0, right? 0, 0, 0, 0. So everything will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Basically every, 1 second. So zero, zero. I am really bad in this whiteboard. I'm just trying out. So 0. So now it's 1. So we need 1 here, right? So 2 to the power 0 will give us 1. So I am putting 1 here. And this we don't need, because 2 to the power 1 is will go give us 2. Sorry, 2. Yes, we don't need it 2, because we just need 1. Total should be 1. So we just putting like this 0, 0, 0, 1. And now our second element is 2. So we need 2 here somewhere. So 2 will definitely not coming from here. It is 1. So I'm putting 0 here, but it will come from here. So we are putting 1 here. We are putting 0 here. We're putting 0 here. And let's say we are putting 3. So we need 2 plus 1 somewhere, right? So 2 plus 1 can come from here, 1. So we need this, and we need this, 2 to the power 1. And it will, if you count it, so it will be 2, it will be 1 plus 2, 3. Is it clear? Making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent the message for the numbers.
Sorry?
I sent the chat message with
Yes,
conversion.
you gave me, right? Yeah, perfect. I'm seeing it. So you have added all the numbers here, right? Perfect. So I now work on the 2's complement.
Actually, I have 2 complements, so -1 to -9.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone can practice it, and having a 2's complement also. So because we are going to use it. So, and in system design question. So I think we all can work on system design question, and we can revisit this last 2 presentation. And I will also share, I think this homework, this much is enough, right, for this week? You can work on the system design question as well. I think, do you guys want more questions on Python or something? So I think we should start practicing some more syntax thing parallelly with for Python, right?
Yeah, simple questions like
Right?
practicing.
Yeah, I think this is great idea. So I think what I will do, I will start with, for the syntax, I will give you the very simple questions so that you guys can start it, so that we will get the, we will not do so many mistakes in the syntax. Okay.
Yeah.
We can end the meeting now, and but yeah, and we'll post everything on Google Classroom. Thank you, everyone.